Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Jordan Peterson has been invited to Islam by our esteemed brother Mohammed Hijab from the United Kingdom. Brother, we really appreciate your work. In fact, this video is very amazing. We Islam, our message or our duty is just to present the message clearly, but for the person, that one is up to Allah. And I hope and I do believe that Mohammed Hijab has given the clear message to Jordan Peterson. Let's watch the video.
I said that, from a Muslim perspective, the question that we're asked to ask is, bring the evidence, yeah? If I were to bring reasonable evidence, which would satisfy some kind of probabilistic reasoning,
Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam,
we believe is the final prophet, right? That he was a true prophet.
And indeed,
would you be willing to become a Muslim?
I wouldn't. I wouldn't dispute a priori the idea that Muhammad was a true prophet, but I don't understand what that means. So obviously, this is the way I'm going to look at this psychologically again. It's people are granted revelations, and it's obviously the case, let's speak empirically, that the revelation of Muhammad united a fractious society. And so it was a uniting revelation. Now, how to conceptualize, but it's not a universally uniting revelation, at least not yet, or not now, because we're not all united. So why? Well, maybe we didn't understand the revelation.
That's
one possibility.
But we
is
understood
the presupposition what you're saying that unity is the ultimate objective?
Well, not exactly, because then you have the problem of uniformity that you pointed out.
Even the idea of unity itself. I mean, is there
Well, we talked about,
unity is a great, just to be clear, I believe that unity is a great objective, but I don't think it's the all-defining one. For example, if there is an injustice that is so great that disunity is more appropriate, then I can imagine situations where disunity is probably better than unity.
Right.
I'm sure you can as well. For example, like in the Soviet Union.
That would be a false unity in some sense,
exactly.
Right?
So that's what we're
talking about. Well, that's why
you
wanted to address the elephant under the carpet right away. Exactly. We can't have a false peace.
Exactly.
And we can't incorporate things we can't yet incorporate.
Yes. The reason why I'm bringing this to your attention is because I feel like it's my duty as a Muslim, especially in the mosque, right, to tell you that as Muslims, we believe that the previous dispensations, as they were like Christianity and Judaism, they are part of our faith in a sense. Not in the sense of believing the doctrines and all that kind of thing. Like, we obviously don't believe in original sin or the resurrection, crucifixion, all this kind of thing. We don't believe in any of that. Or the Trinity, of course. But in the sense that we do believe in Jesus Christ, we believe in all of the Old Testament prophets, most of them, if not all of them, Abraham, Moses, Jesus, and so on.
Peace be upon them.
And we believe that each prophet was sent with two things: the message, which is to believe and worship in one God, and some kind of evidence to indicate their truthfulness. So with, for example, Moses and Jesus, we know what their miracles are, splitting the sea, and we believe that actually happened historically, right? We have no qualms with that. We don't have this kind of materialistic viewpoint on the issue. With Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we believe that because he was sent to all of humanity, he had to have an evidence base that would satisfy not just the eyes. In other words, it wouldn't be just something that could be witnessed. It would be something that can be interrogated and scrutinized for all times and places. So it would be an auditory revelation. In this case, it's the Quran. The Quran means a recitation, yeah? So the central message of the Quran is Tawheed, or the idea of worshipping one God and believing in one God, as we've mentioned. But there is an attempt in the Quran to challenge, like for example, there's something called the falsification test, or the inimitability test. The Quran says, for example, that try and find a contradiction within the Quran. Had it been from other than God, لَوَجَدُوا فِيهِ اخْتِلَافًا كَثِيرًا, we would have found in it many contradictions. This inimitability challenge is to produce something as sophisticated as it in terms of the linguistic composition as well as the structural component. This is very interesting because now even Western academics like Angelica Neuris and others have said that this challenge has not been met. It's a German Orientalist. She's recently said this.
You cannot challenge
so this is another thing. And then you have a range of prophecies, for example. Like if you look at Deuteronomy chapter 18, verse 21, it's mentioned in the Bible that one of the hallmarks of a true prophet is that, or a false prophet is that when they talk about the future, that it will be false. But the Quran makes very specific
Yes.
Very specific prophecies about the future. For example, in chapter 30, verse 2 to 4, it says, غُلِبَتِ الرُّومُ فِي أَدْنَى الْأَرْضِ وَهُمْ مِنْ بَعْدِ غَلَبِهِمْ سَيَغْلِبُونَ.
Yeah.
That the Romans had been defeated. At that time, there was the Sassanid Empire and the Roman Empire, and they were in war with each other. And that from 3 to 9 years, that they would defeat the enemy, you see. It gave very specific timelines. It gave very specific, and this was a very risky type of prediction.
Clearly.
Because if you got it wrong, then it would
Akbar.
endanger and
That is the
undermine the
Quran
entire
for you.
prophethood of the Prophet Muhammad. But it did happen. And in fact, you'll find historical things which are not even in the Quran.
That Rome was defeated?
That the Romans had been defeated by the Persians in a battle. Yeah.
Okay.
And so it's mentioned in, for example, the Chronicles of Theophanes, which is a primary source material outside of the Quran and Sunnah. You can find it now, it's even translated into English. He clearly mentions that 8 years after this particular prediction took place, it did happen like that. So we have a range of predictions, even that relate to the current day. The Prophet said that the barefooted Arab, يَتَطَاوَلُونَ فِي الْبُنْيَانِ, they will be competing for the highest building. That sexually transmitted diseases would be proliferated as a result of people having intercourse outside of marriage, and that this would be something that would be diseases that had never been there in the past.
There used to be
the interest-based economy that we live in is mentioned by the Prophet Muhammad. I said in the future, interest will be everywhere. إِن لَمْ تَأْكُلْهُ إِن لَمْ يَأْكُلْهُ أَصَابَتْهُ مِنْ غُبَارِهِ. Whoever does not consume it, he will not be able to evade its dust. So this is another thing. So for example, you've got a range of prophecies where Islam will spread country by country. Where, this is mentioned. He's going to go, there's a hadith that says, زُوِيَ لِيَ الْأَرْضِ, that the earth has been expanded for me. فَرَأَيْتُ مَشَارِقَهَا وَمَغَارِبَهَا, I saw its west points and east points. وَإِنَّ أُمَّتِي سَيَبْلُغُ مُلْكُهَا, and my nation will reach its points, مَا زُوِيَ لِي مِنْهَا, what was projected, and it's saying east and west. If you look at the Islamic expansion. I mean, Barnaby Rogerson, who is a historian, he said that the similitude of the Muslims going eastward and westward and conquering the amount of countries that they conquered in that early period, which you can read in the book that I've given you, is like Eskimos taking over Russia and America. That's what he said, Barnaby Rogerson. On the point of prophecies, even people like Edward Gibbons, they agree that the prophecies of the Quran had been met.
So I have to ask.
Yeah.
So I don't understand the question exactly.
He wants to know if you will convert to Islam.
No, I'm saying that, no, that wasn't.
I mean, that's the question. Well, look, I would say to some degree, it's not up to me.
No, but my question was, just to remind you, the question was, if I gave you evidence that would satisfy a certain level of probabilistic...
No.
So you wouldn't?
No, because that isn't how I evaluate the situation.
How would you evaluate it? This is the crux.
Well, I'm Muslim enough to have been invited to your mosque.
No, you're always invited,
No,
even if
no,
you're
no,
not.
but I mean this specifically.
Yeah,
I mean this very specifically, I don't think in some sense, it's a very complicated problem.
Okay.
When people meet me on the street, they'll say things like, I met a couple of Orthodox Jews in New York, and they said to me on the street that they call me rabbi, which was... It's a hell of a thing to hear.
Amazing. And that was it. Mohammed Hijab and Jordan Peterson again. But I have one thing. There are two types of people. You are, discussing something with them. One of them is somebody or someone who has made up his mind that I will never... In his mind, this is what is there, that he will never accept. He's never going to listen. He will listen to what you are saying, but he will never accept. Those people are there. His mind is already made. No matter how many evidences that you give to that person, he will never accept. And there is one type of people who, his mind is free. He's searching for the truth. So as for him, he's just looking for just one, two truth evident. Then when he just got that, then the heart just opened and everything just entered. And that's okay, that's enough for him. But somebody like Jordan Peterson, it will be very difficult in my point of view, because he's very static, like in his views. He's very is he difficult, or he's not somebody who listens to somebody's ideas so easily? So I think it will be very difficult.